Hello, this is alexkaapa, and this video is going to be a response to Jesus Freak 777's video, Explain How You're Moral. I want to do this by pointing out the origins of morality, and I'm going to talk about empathy, kin altruism, and the effects of creating larger societies. Empathy is when you imagine yourself being in someone else's shoes. And you probably all know this feeling. For example, when you see somebody hurting himself somehow, you automatically feel the pain. Why you do this is pretty simple if you give it an evolutionary explanation. And the reason to this is that back a few million years ago, probably, when we still were some form of ancestral primates, those that could best work in a group together had the best chance of surviving. And this seems pretty logical, that if you can imagine how someone else is feeling, you automatically treat him better, hence you can better cooperate with that person. It is therefore crucial for surviving that we have developed the sense of empathy for one another. Back in time, when our ancestors still lived together in close kins, because of the benefit of working together and so forth, it also paid them off considerably to treat each other as well as possible, or to show altruism even to other kin members, namely risking your life for the benefit of a few other members of your kin. The kin members, which were mostly parts of your close family, probably shared a high percentage of the genes you have in your body yourself. Therefore, the genes which program the body to treat kin members as well as possible would be favored by natural selection. This means that we have developed genes that make us treat kin members nicely, because those that didn't tell their bodies to do so couldn't pass on their genes as well to the next generations as those that did. Of course, the genes wouldn't be able to let the body determine which is a kin member and which is not, so it made an oversimplified programming demand. Something like this: treat all human beings that you meet as well as possible, which was pretty reasonable back in the past, because all humans you were probably about to meet would be kin members. This simply means that we want to do good rather than not wanting to do good. It is like a desire of the body itself to be nice to fellow human beings. Now, what happened when we started making bigger and bigger groups faster than natural selection could cope with, simply meant that our built-in demand to treat all human beings nicely completely misfired, because there was no benefit there in it for your genes anymore. But what this meant for us as a species is that we simply treated each other better. We could start living with each other in larger societies. This meant, if you also consider our capacities for passing on information and kind of learning, our learning process, which we have also evolved, that we could start thinking about how to treat each other as well as possible. Now, I need to point out that I do think that there are better or worse ways for treating each other. This means that through rational thinking, I do think that we can achieve knowledge about what is the most moral thing to do. And we can also see that throughout time our understanding of which actions have the best consequences for us as a human species and also the individuals themselves has developed and has become significantly better. So I want to finish off this video with pointing out a few fallacies you make in your thinking, Jesus freak. Namely that you yourself, I hope, you don't believe that morality is consistent all the time. Because if you examine, and I hope you have, the past and what they thought was right and wrong, you see that things that were considered to be acceptable then are clearly not anymore, and maybe also vice versa. And I think, and I believe that you do believe yourself that some things are better now than they were before. Of course, some things haven't changed, or at least not as harshly that we can really call it a big change. But a moral code which is always the same, given that it was written about, I think, 5,000 years ago, cannot be the right path to follow if you consider the consequences it is supposed to have on human beings and the whole species. Another thing I want to point out is that human beings, as I hope I have illustrated well enough, are capable of being good and want to be good without the belief in God and without the existence of a God. We don't need to think that there is an ultimate judge in order to keep us in line, because the vast majority of human beings are not sociopaths. They do have a genuine feeling of wanting to do good, and this feeling of wanting to do good can be used together with rationality to find a way how to treat us as individuals and the whole species in a manner that is sustainable, but also the most moral.